So we're going to talk to you about the materials that are available to a school that are like when you purchase Mandarin Matrix, what are you getting? So first we're going to talk about the hard copy books. So there's 3 or 4 different types of books that we sell with Mandarin Matrix, and they're all available on the online platform, all of them that are available to you when you purchase that. You can also purchase them in hard copies. The main core of our literacy curriculum is what we call spiraled readers, and there's proficiency builders, and that's their main purpose. So these proficiency builders are a spiraled reading approach. They're story-based, and they're all connected to each other. So they spiral on top of each other, and they model after the actual proficiency guidelines in that inverted pyramid, if you're familiar with those. And they model that, following stories, building on each other. The kids only seeing characters that they've learned before or what's new to that unit. It's a really powerful way of learning if you're in DLI or in a FLES program or in high school or middle school.
Yeah, I think the spiral program is so crucial especially for Chinese learning, because Chinese character is just totally different. Spiral learning can help them to strengthen their reading skill and keep their confidence up.
I think when we were doing Chinese immersion at the beginning, we knew we needed to do spiraled approaches, but it was really hard with the piecemeal, like lots of different books.
Yes.
Like we knew we wanted to do it and we were doing it, but it just was hard. The books didn't fit that goal very well, right, Nancy?
Yeah, in the beginning we have a lot of the materials. They introduced a lot of vocabularies, and it's very hard for students to grasp so many unknown characters.
Yeah, that's exactly. So it's like, so you would have to teach this, and you weren't sure if they're going to see that again, and they're so hard to teach Chinese characters because it's not phonetic, right? They can't sound it out, so you have to just see it lots of times in lots of different contexts. So having that spiraled approach with them building on top of each other, you can guarantee the kids are going to see that again later on in the curriculum. It's not going to just be a lost character that they'll forget. So they're making sure they're recycling as they move up those proficiency scales. So those spiraled readers, those serve as a good core to your literacy curriculum and building the proficiency in whatever kind of program you have. We also have these books called theme-based readers. These are based off the IB program or the PYP themes. And so if you have that program, this is a perfect fit for you. And there are lots of different themes that cover in these at different proficiency levels. We really like these books for different supplementary things and for making sure you're getting a wide variety of topics.
Yeah, it really enriches students' vocabulary with the theme books.
So in both those readers, in the spiraled proficiency builders and in the theme-based readers and in the other books that we always have Chinese cultural topics, but we try to keep it in a meaningful way that the kids can actually access it. They have the language to access it, and then it becomes a meaningful thing to the kids, which is super important. We know that you can't divorce the language and the culture from the books.
Actually, the Chinese culture part is very fun for students. We introduced about the Chinese New Year and Moon Festival, so they can have school and students can work on their project.
Yeah, and I think comparing the two cultures is really helpful in the curriculum we have, because they have the American topics in there and the Chinese topics, and it allows the kids to compare. And to be honest, that's how you better understand a foreign culture and you better understand your own culture, which is really through comparison and why we learn about other places, to better understand ourselves and our own culture. So this is really important in the books, the way we've designed that. The spiraled readers have lots of different stories, but maybe they don't cover every topic possible. With the theme-based readers, you can really push kids in lots of different topics or towards their interests or connect with what you're already learning in your school. Those are really advantage to have those theme-based readers connected to that. We also have YCT readers, so that's the Young Learner Chinese test that the Chinese government gives to schools. If you do that, these are great readers. You can also just use them for general to have another story for your kids. But that helps a student prepare to take the Young Learning Chinese test, the YCT. We also have a bunch of supplementary books like cartoons with Pangu, the creator of the universe, and Chinese famous people that are all available to you to supplement and to enhance, and also just available to do read-alouds, and all available on that online platform that we're going to talk to you about. So we just talked about all the hard copy books you can purchase, and what's so great about Mandarin Matrix is you don't have to purchase every one of those hard copy books. It's pretty tricky as a school with budgets to try to balance out which ones we buy, and especially if you're not sure which level your students are at. So what's great is the online classroom. You can purchase that and get every single book that's available through our platform. It's all there for you on this online classroom. So we're going to talk now about the teacher side of that, the teacher account, what comes with the teacher account. So in that teacher account, you have all that library, and every single one of those books, you have that in a digital version.
Yeah, this is my favorite part because as a teacher, you want to differentiate your students' learning progress, and the whole entire library is on the teacher's hands. And you can do small group and help the higher kids to achieve higher goal, and then you can help the lower kids to bring up their level. So this is a very valuable teaching tool for the teachers.
Right, and I think with that, having all that library, it's great is you can project it on the board and do read aloud, so you can still have it in classroom if you're in there. But if you're just a parent that's working with this, you get those books assigned to you at home, and your student is doing meaningful homework, which is always a struggle we had as teachers, is making meaningful homework where it's read out loud to them, because usually parents or the guardians at home aren't able to speak Chinese. They can't help them with the homework, and so rather than just having them write Chinese characters over and over, it's done in a meaningful way, in a comprehensible way. And the teacher's getting all that data back. So every time a kid reads a book, they take assessments with that. Like it's a comprehension assessment. They also read it out loud, and there's recordings, and they write characters, so they have stroke orders. And the teacher is getting all that data back so they can really see individual student data and track their growth and really make sure they understand where their students are at and what they need next to continue that differentiation.
Yeah, this is my favorite part as well, because the data will help us, a teacher, to understand how the students learned in the process. And teacher can see the data, and according to the data, the teacher can slow down the class or even push up a little bit.
So with those spiraled readers that we have, it's really nice because you can tell how quickly you need to move up that pace or slow down. It should always be based on the students, not just what you want to do, but where are the students at, and following their level. And if you don't have data, you're not able to do that. That also helps you know which kids are where, right? So you can be assigning books at the right level. So in addition to that, what you also get is lots of teacher guide material. So this helps particularly teachers in the classroom really be able to focus on each unit that's taught. So we break our books down into units. We've talked about, we break them into about 15 days, and we help the teachers know which piece to teach on which day, like what's the right order. And we've done a lot of research and looked at lots of great researchers, and from our own experience, seeing those right processes and help the teachers understand, okay, this is the flow I should do. And teachers can modify as they get used to it, but it's really great if they're not used to it to have something guiding their process.
Yeah, this 15-day plan, especially from the beginning of teaching, if a teacher can follow this 15-day plans, and once you get used to it, and you don't even need to see the plan, then you would know how to help the students step by step to bring them up to the reading level.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's kind of a rhythm that you just naturally learn as an experienced teacher.
Yes.
We've tried to make it explicit. We tried to make it, we pulled out those great things that good teachers do. We made it explicit, the steps that are broken down into what do you do on day one? What do you do on day two? How do you introduce the book? What are the right steps? And those are all based on research and great teaching. In addition to that, this also helps our teachers to teach more like maybe an English language arts teacher would in the American school context that they're working in. So they're not teaching English language arts, but they're teaching in a similar way as their partner teacher, the other school teachers in their school. And we use these curriculum maps. And what we've done is we've plotted out all the year for a teacher to know how to connect with standards. So the actual can-do statements and even language arts standards, the English language arts standards. So a teacher can know how to integrate and how to meet the goals of the school generally, which really helps with our Chinese programs to expand beyond their classroom and connect with the school at large.
Yeah, the curriculum map will help this teacher to know what's the base that they need to cover before they go on to something more challenging or difficult task.
That's right. So if you get done with the curriculum, you know I've met all the can-do statements of the actual proficiency. I've got all these language arts goals that are relevant to Chinese. And that's a great thing as a teacher to have. So there's lots of other teacher resources, but really what the great thing that teachers love is the workbook. And Nancy, you worked a lot on that workbook, so she's really the brain and the genius behind it. So why don't you tell us about the workbook and your thoughts and design?
Okay, the workbook is helping, same as the reader, we do spiraling on each unit. And it will help students to know how to write the characters correctly. And also, the workbook is given a lot of comprehension and understanding how to build from word to sentences. And later on, the higher grade, they start doing the creative writing, and we provide all the platforms for teachers to utilize this workbook, and then the students can learn it step by step.
I think what I love about the workbooks that you've designed is that it really isn't just busy work, right? It's not just kids writing characters over and over. Like, you connect the characters to meaning.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's all connected to a sentence, and to like, it's connecting meaning with print, right? It's not just writing the character blindly and just like, they have no idea what it means. You go through it and it's really comprehension, a lot of it. And so you're practicing writing with comprehension always in mind, and so that's never lost. So I think that's something that teachers love the very most, is they get those workbooks. They don't have to design those things anymore, and they can have good copies. They know it's meaningful, and you as a administrator, as a school, can know they're getting good, meaningful work to do in the classroom or at home.
And later on, we would create a video to help you to understand how to use a workbook to help your students to do character recognition and also create a language.
So we just talked to you about the teacher account, and now we're going to talk about what the student gets. So there's a student account, and they get individual accounts, because it's really important to us to get individualized learning happening in Chinese. We have that data. So when I was a teacher, I always had parents come up to me and it's like, hey, how can I help? How can I help? And I never had great answers before. And so, Nancy, did you have that same experience?
Oh, yes. Especially for parents, they always want to help their students to learn Chinese. But they're Americans, you know, mostly they don't speak Chinese. And so this student account, it really helped them help the parents.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like maybe they speak a little bit, but it's not perfect. And it's like, so having an account at home that students can use, they can be reading the books, or in the classroom, they can be reading the books. They can read it out loud to them so they can hear the proper pronunciation, no matter what your teacher's accent, or if you're a non-native speaker like me as a teacher. They can hear it correctly, and they can be read aloud the book, they can see the pinyin, and they can actually see translations of the book if they want to. They can see English and Spanish and even French translations if that's what their home heritage language is. So when they read a book, though, that once they're done reading it doesn't just end there. We do have these assessments, and so we know these assessments really help them get these comprehension assessments, and also to do character writing and listening. And so I know it's really important to hear your students reading and get the individual listening done so you know where the students are at.
Yes, and also to encourage students to wanting to do the exercise at home, we create a game for them too. And the games will help them to get rewards as well.
Right, so the kids get really excited about the games. Every book they read and every score they get gives them coins that they can purchase inside and purchase more games. And there's actually little competitions within those games too. So the kids get really excited about doing homework, because you also know as a teacher and as a parent and all sorts of things to try to get kids encouraged to read more Chinese, which is hard. This is a great incentive to have. They're like, can I do Mandarin Matrix now? And you're like, yes. So they can be reading and playing those games and getting more incentives to read more books. That's a really powerful tool to get kids keep moving forward, building their proficiency, and to have resources at home and in the classroom to help kids individually read Chinese. So in addition to all that, we also are developing lots of other cool things we're really excited about, including distance education Chinese classes, among many other things. We'd love to talk to you in person. What schools seem to be most excited about, however, is that we offer workshops and trainings. We do them through video conferences or even live. And these seem to be something that are really valuable to the teachers that we're teaching.
Yeah, throughout the teaching years, and I have do a lot of training and also receive a lot of trainings. And every training is very valuable. For example, I learned a lot of different skills. How to, in the classroom, use activities to help students to enhance their language ability.
Yeah, so really what people really like with Mandarin Matrix is our ability to, from our own experience and from our own teaching background, be able to help their teachers. Even if it's not with Mandarin Matrix, that we can go in and offer the experience, because a lot of teachers are isolated, kind of in their own area, trying to figure it out, and so we can come in and help and guide and use other people's experiences and share that. And so this is something that we can come and we can offer and explain what Mandarin Matrix is, but also help your teachers to get better. And this is something we continually offer as Mandarin Matrix lead teachers. And so this is something we're excited to share with you. So we look forward to getting in contact with you. So reach out to us in whatever way is convenient to you. We'd love to come back and start communication on what your school is and the needs it has and the type of program. And then we're sure we can find something that meets your school uniquely and help your school continue to grow. Thanks.